Imagine waking up 100,000 years ago. You can think, you can hunt, you can feel fear, happiness, and love. But there's one problem. You don't know a single word. There is no hello, no names, no stories, no watch out, and no I love you, just sounds, gestures, and confused looks. Yet somehow these silent humans would eventually create thousands of languages and build civilizations across the world. So how did ancient humans invent language? And what was the very first word ever spoken? The answer is one of the greatest mysteries in human history. Let's travel back around 200,000 years to a time when our ancestors lived in small groups across the African savanna. Every day was a struggle for survival. They hunted dangerous animals, searched for food, and protected each other from predators. Imagine walking through the tall grass with your tribe, when suddenly a lion appears. Today, someone would simply shout, "Run!" But what if language didn't exist? How would you warn the others? Scientists believe that before spoken language evolved, early humans communicated using facial expressions, hand gestures, body movements, and simple vocal sounds. A raised arm could signal danger. A pointed finger could show the direction of food. Different grunts and cries could express fear, anger, or excitement. Even today, chimpanzees use different calls to warn each other about snakes, eagles, and leopards. But although these calls are impressive, they are very limited. A chimpanzee can warn another chimp about danger, but it cannot explain how to build a tool or tell a story about yesterday's hunt. Humans eventually developed something far more powerful. As our ancestors became more intelligent, their lives also became more complicated. They weren't just surviving anymore. They were making better stone tools, hunting larger animals, and living in bigger social groups. Suddenly, simple gestures were no longer enough. Imagine trying to teach someone how to make a spear without using words. You would have to demonstrate every step over and over again. But with language, knowledge could be shared quickly. One person could explain which tree made the strongest wood, how to sharpen a stone, and where to hunt during different seasons. This changed everything. For the first time in history, knowledge no longer disappeared when someone died. Parents could teach their children. Elders could pass down years of experience. Entire generations could build upon what previous generations had already learned. This process is known as cultural evolution, and it allowed humans to improve far faster than biological evolution ever could. In many ways, language became humanity's greatest invention because it allowed one brain to learn from thousands of others. But this raises an even bigger question. When did humans actually start talking? Surprisingly, nobody knows for sure. Unlike bones or stone tools, words don't turn into fossils. Scientists can't dig up the first conversation or discover the first sentence buried underground. Language leaves almost no physical evidence. Instead, researchers must search for clues hidden inside our bodies, our genes, and the archaeological record. One of the biggest clues comes from human anatomy. Compared to other animals, humans have a unique vocal tract and a specially shaped throat that allow us to produce an enormous variety of sounds. Our tongue, lips, and voice box work together with incredible precision, making spoken language possible. Even more fascinating is the discovery that Neanderthals, our extinct human relatives, may have had a similar ability to produce speech. This suggests that the foundations of language may be much older than scientists once believed. Another important clue comes from genetics. Researchers have identified a gene called FOXP2 that plays a major role in speech and language development. People born with defects in this gene often struggle to speak clearly or understand grammar. Surprisingly, Neanderthals also carried a very similar version of the FOXP2 gene. This doesn't prove they had language exactly like ours, but it strongly suggests they possessed many of the biological tools needed for complex communication. Based on all the available evidence, most scientists believe that fully developed spoken language probably appeared somewhere between 50,000 and 150,000 years ago. That may seem like a huge range, but the truth is that nobody can narrow it down any further. The origin of language remains one of the greatest unanswered questions in science. Now here's another fascinating mystery. What was the world's first language? You might imagine that all modern languages evolved from one original language spoken by the very first humans. But the reality is much more complicated. Every language spoken today, whether it's English, Arabic, Hindi, Mandarin, or Spanish, is far younger than humanity itself. The earliest languages disappeared tens of thousands of years ago. long before writing was ever invented. They left behind no books, no recordings, and no dictionaries. Their sounds vanished forever. Some scientists even believe there wasn't just one original language. Different groups of humans living in different regions may have developed language independently over thousands of years. If that's true, humanity may have invented language more than once. And then comes the question everyone wants answered. What was the very first word? Unfortunately, we may never know. There is no recording of humanity's first conversation. No written record exists. The first word was spoken, understood, repeated for generations, and eventually lost forever. Still, scientists have their theories. Some believe the earliest words were related to survival, such as food, fire, danger, or water. Others think the first words may have been the names of family members or simple commands like come or go. Another theory suggests that language may have evolved from singing or rhythmic vocalizations long before humans began having ordinary conversations. In that case, music may actually be older than speech itself. No matter which theory is correct, one fact is undeniable. Language transformed humanity more than any other invention in history. It allowed people to cooperate in ways no other species could. It helped humans plan hunts, share ideas, preserve knowledge, build cities, create religions, write books, discover science, and eventually connect billions of people through the internet. Every conversation you've ever had, every story you've ever heard, every song you've ever sung, and every book you've ever read can all be traced back to one incredible moment when our ancestors began turning thoughts into words. We may never discover what humanity's first word really was. It could have been something as simple as fire, food, or come. Or perhaps it was a word that no human alive today would ever recognize. Whatever it was, that single moment changed the course of history forever. So now it's your turn. If you could choose humanity's very first word, what would it be? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed exploring one of history's greatest mysteries, don't forget to subscribe, because there are many more incredible questions about our ancient ancestors waiting to be answered.